Hi friends and family, it's Angie, and I just wanted to come on here to share this amazing word and testimony that God wanted me to share with you guys today. And I'll just get right into it. So this morning I was in my prayer time and I was seeking God about something very um, specific and very close to my heart because the past 2 months for me have I've been in a period of transition, and God has really been cleaning the house internally and really getting me to a place mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to walk into that next chapter in my life, which for me started on the 1st, August 1st. So for the past 2 days, I've been kind of um, like in this place of awe and amazement, but at the same time, like, I don't know, Lord, like, can I do this? Like, so all of me started to come up. And what I'm beginning to learn is that whenever we have transitioned into a new space, it's always going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel unfamiliar because it's new, and it also may feel scary because in those new places that we go, the purpose of that new space is to stretch us, is to grow us even more. And so with that comes the being uncomfortable. With that comes the uncharted territory that you've never been in before. That's going to require faith that you've never had before. That's going to require more discipline and more commitment than you have before. And so it's scary, and so here I am now being stretched, with this amazing, opportunity that God has given me. And I find myself being in this place of feeling like an imposter, feeling like, Lord, I don't have the talent. I don't have the experience to do this. I don't have the knowledge that others have that have been successful with this, And so I began to kind of like pull back from it. And so I found myself in this like little tug of war these past 2 days, because it was kind of like, I don't know, Jesus, I don't know. So as I was sitting today in my prayer time, and I brought that before God, and the Holy Spirit began to minister to me as He so often does. And today was just one of those days, like I said, where I felt like, well, after the fact, He, told me to share this with you guys because this word is not just for me, it's for somebody else as well. I don't know who needs to hear this or be blessed by it, but I'm going to share this testimony. So when the Holy Spirit began ministering to me, He asked me a question. He said, do you remember? And I'm like, do I remember what? And He said, do you remember that we've been this way before? And I sat there for a while, and I'm like, nothing is just coming to my, remembrance. And so I sat back on my sofa and I just closed my eyes and I just sat, in just quiet and stillness. And then He brought back to my remembrance March 12th, 2007. So let me tell you what happened on March 12th, 2007. But before I tell you about that day, let me tell you how I arrived at that day. So in January 2007, the temp agency that I was signed up with called me for an assignment, and it was to work at a magazine, in Hyde Park. And I was so excited because at that time I had been working on my magazine business plan, and I had completed my business plan. I had finished everything except the financial part because that was very difficult. I couldn't figure it out, and so that was the only part that I had left to do. So when she asked me if I wanted to go work at this magazine, I was like, yes. Like, I didn't care if I was sweeping floors. I just wanted to be at a magazine because I had never worked at one before. And this is something that I've always wanted to do. So I show up on the first day of the temp assignment, which is going to be 2 weeks. I was filling in for the receptionist. And my direct support, when she introduced herself, her name was Esther Ruth, which I was like, Esther Ruth? And she was like, yeah, my parents were Christians. And I was like, I could tell. So we had hit it off right away. And, she sits me down. She tells me what to do. And then she says, well, did you bring lunch? And I said, no, I didn't. And she said, well, we have a cafeteria here on the campus because the magazine was on the campus of the University of Chicago. So she said, I'll walk you over to the cafeteria at noon, to show you where it is. So at noon, we go on our way to the cafeteria. And as we are walking, she says, can I ask you a question? And I said, sure. She says, why are you temping? I said, well, I'm temping because I'm working on my magazine concept. I'm working on, I told her I had just finished my business plan for my magazine. And so she was asking me all these questions, and she was really intrigued by the concept and idea that I had. So we get to the cafeteria, and then she goes back to the office, and I stay and I have lunch. When I get back from lunch, I see this whole stack of stuff sitting on the desk. Books and file folders and papers. And so I'm looking at this like, okay, this must be some stuff I need to work on or whatever. And then she comes out of her office and she says, oh, she was like, you're back. She said, all that stuff is for you. And I said, for me? And she said, yes. She was like, this stuff will help you with your magazine. And it helped me with my financials. And I was like, oh, say what? So I was super excited, and it was exactly what I needed to get my financials done. And so I worked those 2 weeks, and then I was gone. So fast forward to March 12th, 2007. So that weekend, so the 9th, 10th, and 11th, so that was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I had my phone turned off. And so I wasn't receiving any calls or any messages. But that Sunday evening, I turned my phone back on, and I saw that I had all these voicemail messages. And so I checked the messages, and it was from my agency. And it was Maxine, my rep. She was calling me. She had called on Friday. She couldn't get me. She called on Saturday. Like, she took my phone number home with her, which she wasn't supposed to do. But she was calling me over the weekend like, Angie, if you get this message, call me back. I know I'm not supposed to call you on the weekends, but the magazine wants you to come back, and they want you to be there Monday. So if you get this message, just show up on Monday. Even if you don't get in contact with me, just show up on Monday. So I was able to get in contact with her later that evening, and I told her, I said, yes, I'll definitely go back. And so I show up that Monday, the 12th, and I, show up, and Ruth wasn't there yet. And so I meet Nancy, who was the receptionist. So I was like, okay, well, I'm thinking to myself, like, what do they want me to do? Because she's here, the receptionist. I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe there's some admin assistant work that they need me to do. So Ruth arrives, and we go into her office, and she closes the door, and she says, I am so happy that they were able to get in contact with you. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I enjoyed, the 2 weeks that I was here. She said, because I'm leaving on Friday. She said, my last day is Friday. And I wanted you to take my place. And I was like, but you're the associate publisher. And she's like, I know. And I said, but you want me to be the associate publisher? And she said, yes, that this is the best opportunity for you to be able to learn what you'll need to know for your magazine. She said, I'm leaving because the board for the magazine decided that they were going to restructure and they were going to eliminate her position. So she knew this at the beginning of the year that they were going to eliminate her position. She said, so she had found another job, but she said she wanted me to take over for the next 4 months until they, basically kind of like working out the last of her contract, but until they ended the position. So I was just like, what? So I was like completely overwhelmed and then shocked and like, okay, Lord, you are amazing. And she was like, I'm gonna show you everything that I know before I leave. So she showed me as much as she could before she left. And then that next Monday, which was the 19th, was my very first day there by myself. Like, she was gone. And the publisher stopped by my office that morning, first thing in the morning. And she said, hey, I have a board meeting this afternoon, and I'm going to need a financial statement from you for the meeting. Will you be able to have that for me by noon before you go to lunch? And I'm like, sure, I'll have it for you. But at the same time, I'm thinking like, I don't know what you're talking about, but sure, I can have it for you. And so I go to the desk, and I'm just trying to look and see if I can find an old version of what she's looking for, because I'm like, well, apparently Ruth was doing this. Let me find this statement and just, get the information, put it in there, do whatever, and give it to her. But I couldn't find anything. I spent an hour looking, and I couldn't find anything. So finally, I went to her, and I said, hey, I can't find where Ruth kept the statements. I was like, do you happen to have the last one, or one that I can kind of look at to see like what you need? And she was like, no, I don't have it. And I'm like, okay, well, let me get back to you. So I go downstairs and I go to the bathroom and I lock the door and I start to pray. And I said, Lord, you sent me here, and you sent me here for a purpose. You have blessed me with this position, so I need you to show up for me. I need the Holy Spirit, who is my teacher and my guide, to show me exactly what I need to do and exactly what I need to have so I can give it to the publisher before 12 o'clock noon. And I went, I closed out my prayer and I went to my desk, and sure enough, the Holy Spirit began to lead and guide me on how to put together this financial statement. That I have never seen a financial statement in my life and didn't know how to do one. But he was like, open this, open that, do this, put this there, and I created this document for the publisher. So I go upstairs to take her this paper, and I am like so nervous because I'm like, this lady is getting ready to fire me. Like, she's gonna look at this paper and be like, yeah, this is not what I wanted, and I'm gonna get fired. So I go and I got this little paper in my hand, and I'm shaking, my hands are sweaty, and I'm just like, hey, connect, here's the I'm finished, here's the document. And she takes it and she looks at it and she goes, this is amazing. I knew you were the right person for the job. And I just was standing there like, what? And I'm like, great, awesome, amazing. Do you need anything else? And she's like, no, I'm good. And I'm walking out of her office, and I'm just like thinking to myself, like, this is unbelievable, and this is nothing but God. So I walked my little self right back into the bathroom, locked the door, it had myself, my own little personal praise party right there in that bathroom. And I remember just breaking down in tears and just thanking God, because it was like I had never experienced that before. Like, that was literally like my first time experiencing like the Holy Spirit showing up like Johnny on the spot and showing me exactly what I needed to know when I needed to know it. Because I didn't have the education, I didn't have the experience, but I had Him, and He was all that I needed. And that is and so it was just so amazing, because it was like, and God is so real, because it's like out of all the other testimonies that I have, He had me to remember that one, because He's like, honey, we've done this before. And because I've done this for you before, what more do you think I can do for you now? 15 years later, after all of the progress that you've made, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, how much you have grown, what more can I do for you now? With the faith you have now, what more can I do for you? And I just was overwhelmed this morning. I was overwhelmed for about a good old hour, just basking in His goodness and His glory, and just like, there is no convincing me of anything like that God is not real. Like, you can convince me of maybe some other stuff, but I know that God is real, because I have seen too much, I know too much, and I've experienced too much of Him to deny Him. And when I tell you, when He said, what more can we do now, it just really just, I'm sorry I'm getting emotional, but it just really lifted my spirits this morning. It was the answer to the prayer that I was asking Him for this morning. And again, it just shows the power of the Holy Spirit, that He is our comforter, He is our teacher, He is our guide. He will lead us into all truth, and He will bring those things to our remembrance when we have forgotten, the goodness of God. And so that's what I wanted to share today. That's what the Lord wanted me to share with you guys today. That there may be someone out there who God is calling you to something great. He's calling you to something that's beyond yourself. He is stretching you beyond the capacity that you've ever been stretched before. He's giving you this new opportunity. He's calling you to start that business. He's calling you to write that book. He's calling you to start that podcast, to start that YouTube channel. He's calling you to start that business. He's calling you to go into ministry. He's calling you to whatever He's calling you to, and you feel like it is beyond you, that you don't have the resources, that you don't have the education, that you don't have the knowledge that others have, or the skills. Just know that you have everything that you need. When people say you have everything that you need inside of you, what it is the Holy Spirit. You have everything that you need inside of you, because you have Him. You have Him, you have His promise, you have His word. And so I leave that with you today. I pray that this blessed somebody, and if, whoever it is, I just pray that you continue to follow the path that God has placed you on, and you continue to hold on to His unchanging hand, and partner with Him through the Holy Spirit to lead and guide you to the place that He desires you to be. So that is it for this recording. I love you, and I will talk to you or see you soon.